What's going on, everyone? So welcome back. In this video, I'm going to show you the exact settings I used to pass two funded evaluations, plus a breakdown of the indicators inside both the basic and prime plans. If you're trying to stay consistent, simplify your trading, so this video is gonna actually help you out a lot. So please smash that like button, subscribe, and leave a comment if you do find a value in this video as well. Okay. And also real quick, I just launched my own clothing brand called Legacy Apparel. So basically, legacy isn't just a name. It represents what you leave behind, your work ethic, your discipline, and the impact you make over time. So this brand is built for people who are focused on growth, consistency, and building something bigger than themselves. Okay, so it's not just a clothing, it's basically a mindset. Everything we do is about elevating your ambition and staying locked in on your goals. Okay, the link will be in my description. This may be up for a limited time, but I will be actually showing you basically some of my clothing probably in the next coming video, so stay tuned in that. But feel free to actually check this out. I just launched this 1 week ago. This is probably my favorite, but I'll be basically showcasing some of my merch and probably my next coming video, so feel free to check it out. The link will be in my description, but it's called shoplegacyapparel.store. And we have basically hoodies, long sleeves, sweatpants, short hats for men, women, sweatpants, hoodies, hats. I will also be adding obviously more products, more designs in the next coming weeks as well. And I'm still also renovating the website, but the website's live and you can shop if you want to support Legacy Apparel. But more designs, more clothing will be up in the coming weeks, and I'm still renovating the website, but everything is functioning. If there are any issues, you can DM me on Discord, legacytrading01, or my email at legacytrading03@gmail.com. And we also have an online chat, which you can also chat me with any issues, and I can actually look it up. So there shouldn't be any issues, but if so, you know how to contact me. Okay. All right. And also another thing is free shipping for all orders over 100 as well. And I'm having also a discount with all my clothing at the moment. Okay. All right. So just to give you guys a quick update, so on my personal live account, as you can see, it's a live. I'm up $48,500 on my live account. On my top step, just letting you know, I did pass 2 evaluations. This is just one of them. This passed basically in 6 days. Got 3,000. My other eval passed in 4 days, and I'll show you exactly on how I passed it. So I have not activated my 2 evals yet. But as of right now, I do have 2 express funded accounts plus 2 more. I'll be activating those basically on Sunday because the market is actually closed at the time of filming this video, so I probably won't be able to get it immediately. So I'll be activating those 2 on Sunday, so I'll actually have 4 express funded accounts. All right, and after that, let me actually explain how I actually pass my evals. And also, all the links will be in my description, by the way. Okay, so let's begin with the Swift Algo X indicator. So it's going to be under your invite-only scripts, but I have it on my favorites. So it's going to be by Luke 1612. So add this to your chart. And let's go ahead and configure the settings real quick. I do actually trade on the 1 minute time frame. Go to settings. I do change the indicator sensitivity to 5 minutes. Risk to reward, I keep this as a 1-to-1. Calculated bars, I keep this as 5,000. EMA trend period, I keep this by default 300. And I do actually enable max stop loss size filter. I do check that, and I do keep it at 0.2. Oops, what happened? My bad. So I do keep this at 0.2. Then after that, I'm going to check. So backtest settings at 83.33%. So it's telling me that they changed the algorithm multiplier basically to a 10, and then they changed the pair basically to a 1. And that's all I do. The current setting has to match the backtest setting. I do actually go more in depth with these settings in my other YouTube videos, so be sure to check those out. This is just basically straight to the point. Then hit OK. I do actually use the the Conflux advanced version. So add that to your chart as well. Make sure confluence requirement is on single. Long signal 1, this should be buy signal only. Make sure this is checked by default, enable long 1. Short signal 1, make sure you do check sell signal only. Make sure this is checked by default. I don't really mess with this. But for base quantity, you do actually have to change this to whatever contract size you want. So for me, with a funded account, before I was using 2 contracts, then I did increase it to 4, but now I think I'm going to increase it to 5 contracts for a funded account, okay? If you're using an eval account, then I usually do with 10 contracts. Some of my members in my Discord community, if they use 7 contracts, some of them uses 10. This will just depend how fast you want to pass, how aggressive you want to be. But basically 10 contracts will be equivalent to basically 1 contract of NQ. But let's keep this as 5 contracts. Let's say you have a funded account, so let's just keep that as 5 contracts. And this does not have to be enabled for this to take effect. It automatically goes off 5 contracts, as you can see on the chart. Use trading windows, I keep this unchecked because I want this to trade all sessions. Exit method, I changed this to indicate exit. Then long TB indicator, you have to select take profit. So for this one, you have to select basically take profit. For the stop loss long, you have to select stop loss. Short TP indicator, you have to select basically take profit. And stop loss indicator, you want to select stop loss. Then that's basically all I do. Properties, it doesn't really matter if you change this to a 5. It's not gonna do anything. Always have this on bar close check. I usually have all three of them checked. You cannot use this unless if you're actually on the premium plan, just FYI. Then I usually uncheck this. I don't need this extra data. Visibility leave is as is. For this one, I do actually uncheck this. And then after that, I do take away these buy signals because I have these long signals and exit signals, so it's too redundant. So I do actually uncheck them. But that's just on person preference. I mark this with 3rd level line thickness. So let's do that real quick. And I do uncheck this as well. And then I like to make this 50% shaded. A lot of this may actually be on a repeat, just FYI. Feel free to skip around at this video if you already know. This is actually mainly for the new people that's new to my channel. So hit OK. So this is basically what my chart actually looks like, okay? So Algo X link will be in my description. The legacy basic plan link will also be in my description. There will not be no free trials, and all stocks will be found after purchase. So the legacy basic plan does actually come with the Conflux original script as well as the Conflux advanced version. The only difference between the original and the advanced is that the advanced does actually have the the martingale feature as well as the break-even feature. That's the only difference, okay? And so I've been using Algo X and Conflux 100% fully on automation. This is the only thing I'm using, and you can look at the strategy report. As you can see, P&L over 1,000, drawdown 83%, profit factor 5. I do update these settings once per day. I usually do it before Asia session starts. Unless if there's no change. Obviously, if there's no change, then I'm not going to do anything. But let's say at 6 or 7 p.m. during the Asia session, there was a loss. And then obviously the backtest setting will actually change. and it will give me new settings. So therefore, I'm going to update it after the first loss in the Asia session, as long as I'm still awake. Obviously, if this changes in the middle of the night, like midnight, obviously I cannot really do anything because I'll be asleep. But I do change this basically once per day. So hit save. So that's what I usually do. Basically with a so I do make different chart layouts. So basically how I passed my eval account a few days ago is I was actually trading one contract of NQ, and I was actually doing it on the 30-second time frame. All right. So I was basically doing it on a 30-second time frame, and then I was sorry about that. I actually lost connection. So basically, so yeah, I was trading on the NQ. I was just doing one contract. The only thing I did really change was the time frame. I did it on the 30 seconds. You do need the premium plan in order to do the seconds. Okay. That's the only thing I changed. And I was still using 0.2 with the stop loss filter, and this is just one contract of NQ. I actually had a higher win rate. I think my win rate was on Saturday to about 80%. So if you look at strategy report, so I did pretty good. Now this can actually pass to eval account really fast. It did actually pass 2 of my eval accounts on top step, and I did actually copy trade both of them, so they both passed at the exact same time. This was the strategy I used, and I passed basically in under a week, basically. Like 4 to 6 days, so it was basically less than a week. So you can do that, but you can actually blow an account pretty fast as well. If it hit like 2 or 3 losses in a row, it can actually blow your account, just FYI. And I was updating the settings at the start of every session, or after the first loss of that session, or after the first win of that session. So if there was no change, let's, for example, at the Asia session, there's no change to the back test. Then it took a loss, then obviously this is going to update. I will actually update the settings. Or let's say the first trade was a winner. Sometimes this can still update, so I'll actually update it. So, and as long as you're awake, I would probably advise updating it as much as possible. If you want, it depends on personal preference. It just depends what works best for you. But obviously, I cannot really do anything if I'm actually asleep. Friday was actually kind of choppy. But if you look at the list of trades, you see it can actually pass pretty quickly. So that's one way to pass. One of my members in my Discord community, he pretty much did the exact same thing. He's the one that thought about the 30 seconds, or there was actually 2 of them that did actually trade on the 30-second time frame. But he actually did M and Q instead. And he actually did 3 contracts basically of M and Q. And he actually did it at 0.3 stop loss size on the 30 seconds and 3 contracts of M and Q. And then he actually updates it at the start of every session, or after the first loss, or after the first win of that session. And he also ended up passing his eval on Apex as well. So that's one way you can actually do it. But if you do 0.3, it does actually give you more trades, but it does actually update the back test more frequently. But that is one option if you want more trades. So if you look at the strategy report, it's actually not that bad. But actually, I need to actually update this to 3 contracts though. So as you can see, profit factor not bad, almost 22 trades, over 1.2K. So it's actually not that bad. You can see the list of trades it takes. On a funded account, if you do actually use a 0.2, it does actually give you less trades, unfortunately. Some days will be no trades. Some days maybe average just 1, sometimes 2, no more than 3. But I would say maybe it takes like probably 2 or 3 trades per week with 0.2. But you can always change it to 0.3 if you do want more trades. So like this one, wait, hold on, I have to update this. Give it a few seconds. Not bad. It still did pretty good still, but well. But yeah, that's the only thing I'm basically using at the moment. You can check out my other videos. I do talk more in depth with the settings of Algo X as well as the Conflux, and also how to set up automation as well. All right, real quick before we move on to the other indicators. So just to show you the quick features of the Conflux. So you can actually add multiple indicators, right? So you can do double indicator. Then you can select whatever, let's say this one, and then you would need to select enable 2. And then this one, let's say you do the exact same thing, let's say EMA, and then you select this one, meaning, for example, let's say signal 1 printed by, signal 2 printed by, both does actually have to meet in order for a long buy signal to generate. If one has a buy but the other one has 0, then there will not be no signals on the chart. So, and then triple, so you get the idea. So go back to close. So this can help to filter out more noise, and obviously the martingale feature you can actually use. So obviously, for example, let's say you want to do 2 contracts, right? Check this for enable martingale feature, and then multiply loss after 2, just 2, and let's say max martingale steps 3 or 5. Let's change this to 3. And basically, let me give an example. Let's go to strategy report. And let's actually go back to 30 days so I can actually physically show you. Give a few seconds to load. Martingale feature, I would not recommend this with a funded account. You can do this with an eval account, I would recommend, but it's really up to you. Okay, let's see. Oh, wow. Okay, hold on. So for example, so this was a loss, right? It took the base quantity, which was 2 contracts. It took a loss. So the next trade, guess what? It doubled in contract size. So it took basically, obviously 2 times 2 is 4. So it took 4 contracts. So it made up for this loss and got you more in profit, right? Then since that's a win, it resets back to 2. But it took another loss, so it doubled in size. Now let's say, for example, if this takes a loss, then it's going to double again. So 4 times 2 is what? 8 contracts. So the next one's going to be 8 contracts. So it's gonna make up for those 2 losses. But since I put the max steps as 3, it only does it 3 times. So 8 would be the max. So if that's a loss, the next one is still going to be an 8. If that actually makes sense. So that's how that works, okay? But you can experiment with this. You can reset. This is reset after base win, or if you leave this unchecked, then every time it takes a loss, it's just gonna keep multiplying. Or unless if it reaches the max. So, and if you're doing that, you can reset a new week. So by Sunday, it's gonna restart back to the base quantity. Always keep this check. Obviously, this is the week reset mode. This is just based on time. It doesn't really matter. So futures, meaning it resets on Sunday, basically at 6 p.m. EST. Then obviously, trading windows, you can use trading windows if you want to trade within a specific time. And if you're trading futures prop firms, so you do have this section to close at the end of the New York session to adhere to basically the prop firm regulation rules. And then you can enable max trades per day, enable daily limits, stop loss limits. But I recommend doing this in the broker prop firm settings, not in the settings. And then obviously you can do trailing stop loss, or you can have a fixed TP stop loss, or just use the indicate exit method. You can choose points, ticks, or if you're trading Forex, pips. Then obviously if you select TP and stop loss, it goes off these values. If you select indicate exit, then it goes off these values. If you're selecting trailing stop loss, then it goes off these values. And there's also the break even feature, which you can enable. I usually set the break even offset as 1, but you can actually, this does actually prevent some losses as well. but I don't really use this feature. So that's really the main features of the Conflux. It turns Swift Algo X from a trading view indicator to a full functioning trading view strategy, in which you can just create basically one alert with this. Okay, so let's actually go over my next indicators real quick. Let's actually look at the gravity Stratos indicator. This is actually really more on manual trading rather than automation trading. And this is available on the Legacy Prime plan. So when you purchase the Legacy Basic plan, it does come with Conflux, Conflux Advanced, as well as a Smart Money Concept Toolkit, which I will explain here in a few minutes. And then the Legacy Prime plan includes everything in the Basic plan, plus 4 more additional indicators, and 2 of them being strategies. And I will also be releasing more indicators also down the road in the next couple of weeks as well. So Gravity Stratos is really meant for manual trading, but it can also be automated with the Conflux as well. So not really much I do change here. I mainly do unselect these buy and sell labels. I don't really need them on the chart. So let's remove these real quick. Sorry guys, this is a long video. I'm trying to explain everything all in one video so you guys can look back to, and I hope you guys are taking notes as well if interested. And with this one, I like to make this fourth level thickness, and then I like to make these middle lines probably second level thickness is fine. And then inputs, let's see, I usually select all 3 of them, and then multiply. I keep this, I think, at 0.1. I think that's fine, but you can actually experiment with the settings and see what works best for you. And I usually do this on the Rinkos, and I usually do this on the 1 second data, but you do need a premium plan in order to get access to Rinkos. And I do box size 5 on traditional. So if you right click on the chart, go to settings, go to symbol, I select traditional, and then I change the box size to 5. So meaning price moves 5 points in either direction. Because Rinkos actually measures price movement, it doesn't measure time. So if you're trading for example like one contract of M and Q, we know it moves basically $2 per point. So obviously if each box represents 5 points, then obviously 2 times 5, basic math. So every box is basically $10 of movement. So if you're trading one contract of NQ, that's basically every box is $100. So this is basically my method of trading this, but like I said, you can trade with whatever you want. So for example, it breaks above this gravity line, that's one confluence. All the ribbons basically turns green, that's another confluence. And it also broke above this midline band, so that's another confluence. And then I could have entered the trade right there. So if I do the long toolkit, so my entry may be around right there. Oops, that's actually the wrong one. Supposed to be long entry, so it's probably gonna be right there would be my entry. And then I usually trail it either 1 or 2 bricks down. So if my entry is there, 1 brick, probably 2 bricks down, and then I would have rode the movement all the way up there, and I probably got to stop out probably at that point right there. So that's one way I trade this. Then obviously you can trade it going down, back to the midline, or just whatever way you want. And I usually trade this basically at New York Open as well. But I'm basically just giving you an example. This does work on regular candlesticks. So this, I would have capitalized movement on this, see sell trade, sell, sell. And then I usually trail either by 1 or 2 bricks down. So this would be a buy, sell. So see, these moves are really accurate. So this could have been chop zone. So you probably would have lost some trades there. So it's all about having basically risk discipline and risk management. Or another way you can trade this, if it breaks above this midline, you could have basically rode the trend all the way up to this point. This is a beautiful trade. But just letting you know, rainbows is useless if it's been more than 24 hours, okay? The best way to actually test rainbows is actually through demo testing and by forward testing. So even if you look back at these days, these signals is not going to be accurate because it's rainbows. So you have to actually just demo test this for yourself. But not really much I really change with the settings. I pretty much leave it as is. But you can also change the gravity line, which is this blue line. If you want, you can change the multiplier, let's say to like 2.5, for example. And it does actually change this, so whatever works best for you. So that is the gravity Stratos. So another one I use is the quantum trend, almost similar to gravity Stratos. Not really much to change. I may change this to a 5, may change this to a close. Same thing, I like to use this on rainbows as well. I may change the gravity line pair basically to a 9. I may leave this as a 1 though. Check this box. And I don't really like to see these buy or sell labels. You can if you want, it's really up to you. I may actually keep these two though. Then check this box. So basically same method. So if it broke behind this this gravity line, so I probably would have took a sell position there indicated by this signal, rode the trend all the way down until the opposite brick prints. Same thing by signal print, I'm gonna ride the trend all the way up there until the opposite red brick prints. This would have been a loss. This may actually be a loss or just a really small profit. This would have been, you know, a good winner right there. So this would have been another winner. This would have been a loser. So that's just one way, but it does actually take practice with rainbows. Don't think because you're seeing, you know, these green and red bricks, it's that easy. It's not going to be that easy. Because like I said, at New York session open, price moves fast because of that volume, okay? So these rainbows will be moving fast. You can do this in the Asia session, but it may actually chop you up in the Asia session. So the best time is to do it at the New York session, but you have to be fast because these, like I said, these do move fast. It's not that easy as it seems. It does actually take practice. But I did actually pass eval accounts using the quantum trend and the gravity Stratos in the past. So not really much a change for the settings, but that's just my strategy. Another one I have is the orb automation strategy called the opening range engine. This is a strategy which you can actually automate. And I do this on the regular candlesticks on the 5-minute time frame mostly. And the only thing I do change here is I do change this to 8 because this is based on the Chicago time zone. Why I choose 8? Because I do live in California. So 8:30 is basically the same as 9:30 a.m. EST. So in California, that would actually be 6:30 a.m. PST. So that's why I changed that. You can change the opening range 5, 15, 30, 1 hour. I choose 15 minutes. Trade direction, you can choose long or short. I do both. You can limit max trades per day. Stop loss method, let's just do that. You can customize 100 ticks for stop loss, 200 for profit, risk to reward, whichever one you want. Enable trailing stop loss. Trade only within session. You can change this to basically 8:30. I don't really leave this check. I leave this on check. And then if you look back, some of my members are actually using the opening range engine. I did use it in the past, but I stopped using it though. I'm not really much of a fan of the opening range, but it does actually work. You can change your size to, let's say, 5 contracts. Right there, I do have this on check as well. Style tab, I like to make this green because once price breaks, it means a buy. Make this the level thickness. I like to change this because, you know, obviously red means sell, third level thickness. And then I like to remove these labels and panels as well. And so if you look, see price breaks and it took a winning trade. So you look at the strategy report. So it's actually not that good. So last 7 days was actually pretty good. So it won 3 out of 5 trades, profit factor 3, over 1,000 P&L, max drawdown over 705. Let's look at the last 30 days. So last 30 days was it was pretty much average. Last 30 days took about 50% profitable trades, profit factor 1.6. So P&L max drawdown was pretty much about the same. So that's one way you can change the opening range breakout. You can actually experiment with, you know, with different ticks. You can also do risk to reward for the stop loss method. You can change this if you want 50, 100. But always practice this on a demo account first. But some of my members aren't actually using the opening range break or opening range engine. They're having some success with it. But I personally don't actually trade this, but it's pretty profitable in long term now. So after that, so let's talk about the Flux Engine, which is actually my next indicator. So with the Flux Engine, I usually do M&Q 5 minutes. If you do the runtime profile, you can change this to M&Q 5-minute ETH. These are the presets. So once you do select this, anything you change after that, it does not actually take effect. It's basically useless unless if you do actually do manual customs. So these are the presets already. You can change to whatever contract size you want. Let's say you want to do 5 contracts. Make sure this is checked. I usually check all 3 and then just leave this unchecked. And then style tab, I like to remove these buy and sell labels since I already have these strategy labels on there. And then this, I usually keep this unchecked. Visibility, properties, end person. That's pretty much all I do with this one. And we go back last 7 days. Just FYI, when it comes to doing the strategy report, anything, the farther back you go, the less accurate it does actually become. So the closer you are to the date, the more accurate the report will actually show. So you can see last 7 days, got profit factor 1.48 with profitable trades 62%, with over $3,000 in P&L and 1.5K in drawdown. So I basically doubled my drawdown. So if you do last 30 days, so last 30 days it didn't really do too good, but with the Flux Engine, I think 7 days is probably going to be more accurate compared to 30 days and 90 days. But you can see, oh, I guess I forgot to remove some labels. So I'll remove this. So this is a strategy which you can actually automate as well. So like this would have been a winner. This is actually a loser. So this would be a winner, another winning trade. This is loser, 2 loser in a row, winner trade. So this was a winner, winner. So this night has won a lot of trades. So I counted 1, 2, that's 1 loss, 3, 4 winners and 1 loser. So if you look at the strategy board list of trades, you'll see, so it did actually pretty good. So Flux Engine did actually pass an eval account and got me really good payouts. I think about $1,000 in payouts on one of my funded accounts. So Flux Engine was actually, you know, some of my members are using Flux Engine, but I don't use Flux Engine at the moment because, like I said, I'm only using Algo X with the Conflux. But you can actually experiment with this. Basically, another way to do this is if you select basically manual customs, go to strategy report and just filter around with it. Popularity inversion just means basically whatever you select in the long validation stack, it will generate a buy signal. Okay, so when this is actually checked, it's going to do the opposite. So instead of buy, it's going to generate a sell signal. Okay. And then this point of ticks if you're trading futures. If you're trading Forex, you want to do pips. And then target delta is just another name for a take profit. Failure threshold is another name for stop loss. And then REM latency bars is just another name for cool down between signals. So once a buy signal print, if you set this basically to a 2, it's going to wait basically 2 candles before it can actually give another signal. But I should keep this as a 0. Temporal gate is basically when you want it to trade and when you want the session to end. Blackout is basically the no trade zone. So meaning it will not trade between these hours. And then you can use trading windows if you want to trade within specific time. And you can also check this to close at the end of the New York session, or whichever you prefer. I usually trade all sessions. Active bias, this is kind of like a trend filter. I usually leave this by default. I usually leave this by default as well. And then you can start unchecking and checking each one to see if it gives a better P&L or better drawdown. So it looks like nothing changed there. So whatever you select will basically give you a long signal for the buys and for the sell. Whatever you select or deselect, it will give you basically a sell signals. You can actually play with it, see if you can get better stats on the strategy report. And with these numbers, I usually leave everything else by default, but you can always play with it and see whatever numbers or whatever signals may get better result in the strategy report. And then last is the Smart Money Concepts Toolkit. So this is pretty much self-explanatory if you know about money, smart money concepts. So obviously, if it gives you, for example, like a change of character, that means it's a potential for a reversal, which means we're probably heading into an upward trend. And then we had a break of structure, so it basically confirmed that the trend is bullish. So what happens? We continue going up, so you gotta capitalize on all this movement. And at the same time, we are also above this smart line, and we're also, the trend ribbon is also green as well. And we also have a bullish order block. So you can always wait for the price to tap into this order block, which it did. And then you could have entered at this point, and you could have rode the trend all the way up to this point. And this trend dashboard is actually going to be in the new update. So I'll be releasing that update in the new, probably either tonight or this weekend. But not really much I do change with these smart money concepts. I usually just leave it by default, but that's just one way to actually trade it. So let's look at another example. So see the smart line and the trend ribbon, downward trend. So you would have capitalized on all this movement. And see the trend ribbon green, you would have capitalized on all this movement. And then back to red, capitalize, and then capitalize. So you can actually trade this manually if you actually want to. You can also automate it, but I don't really recommend automating this. I do recommend actually basically trading this manually. So you can customize this, experiment with it, whatever you want. I do have some members actually using this, and they have past eval accounts and also got really good payouts as well. So this is another really powerful tool that you can actually utilize for extra confluences. So it basically just marks everything on the chart for you. But other than that, that's all I'm going to be talking about in this video. So if you find value in this video, just drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe. And I'll catch you guys in the next video.